Welcome back to another episode on Genealogy TV. This is the third video in this Walls family restoration project where I'm showing you how to go from this image to this image using Photoshop CC. Hi, my name is Connie Knox and I am a lifelong genealogist and photographer, here to help you go further, faster, but factually with your family research. Today we are continuing on with the old family photo restoration of my husband's family. In the first episode in this series, we labeled all of the people in the photograph as a side step in preserving their names. In the second of the series, we removed the names and created a selection of the corner and pushed it back into place, but that left a crack behind that is still visible. Today, we are moving on to show you the real magic of the spot healing brush tool, along with some other tools to help repair that crack. You won't want to miss this one. Of course, before we do, I need to remind you, if you've not subscribed, please do so right here and ring the bell so that you'll get notified of the next time I upload videos in this series. And now, onward with the magic of the spot healing brush tool. Okay, in the last episode, we had taken this image and we started with this image here, and it has this giant crack in it. And so throughout this series, we're going to slowly restore this photograph. What we did in the last episode was we created a selection and we created this corner. Let me show you. We just selected this corner and then we moved it up into place. Now we're going to work on that crack that is right in here. Now what we did in the last episode also was we took the two layers that we had been working on and we preserved the original layers, but we had merged these two layers to create one new layer that we can work on for this crack. So now what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to talk about the spot healing tool, and that is right here, the spot healing brush tool. And this is a great tool. So again, using the left and right brackets, the left bracket makes the tool smaller, the right bracket makes the tool larger. As you can see, it can get really large. I like to keep it as small as possible, somewhat near the size of the part of the document that we're working on. And so I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to left click and drag. And what I like to do is small pieces at a time, because if you don't like what you did, you can always go back. Now I'm going to undo that just so you can see what we did. And I'm going to zoom in, because in order to see what we're doing, we really need to be close. So let's zoom in to about here. And there's some other issues with this photograph, spots and stuff, and we're going to deal with those in other episodes. But for now, we're just dealing with the spot healing tool, healing brush tool, and this is how it works. So basically, you left click and you drag and do small pieces, because if you don't like what you did, you can come up here to the history and undo by going up one and undo that, right? Or you can hit the undo button. But we like that, so we're going to keep moving on. I'm going to actually make the brush slightly smaller for this part, because I'm going to try and preserve as much of that sleeve as possible. Now I can come back and reconstruct that sleeve later if I wish. And we're just going to do little pieces of this. And we're going to keep dragging up, and slowly what that tool is doing is it's taking a look at all the pixels around that area and trying to create fixes. Sometimes it takes more than one stroke in order to get it fixed, but for the most part you can see that it is healing this crack in this image. Now we could not have done this as effectively if we had left this image as it originally was with this giant crack in here. It would not have cleaned up quite as well, but by moving the crack in place and then starting to work on the spot healing, you can see that it is restoring the crack. Now I'm going to use the space bar. Push the space bar gives me the hand tool and allows me to move without having to zoom in and out. So very carefully now I let go of the space bar and I'm back on the spot healing brush tool, and I'm just going to carefully, whoops, got rid of her button completely. Now we can replace that button by coming over and sampling this button and putting it back. Here, let's see if I can find the clone tool. Here it is. And we're going to grab this. You hold the Alt key down to sample it. That's the sample icon. Click, and now I've got it sampled, and now I'm going to put it back in place and click, and the button is replaced. And so now I'm going to go back to the spot healing brush tool, and I'm going to continue to try and fix. Now his finger's a little wonky, but I don't know that anybody's going to notice in the overall photograph. But I'm going to continue to fix these cracks. And we can also clone the seams of items back in if the seam disappears completely. Now working around faces is a little challenging. Well, very carefully, is actually a large part of this image that is missing. We'll see what happens here. It kind of looks a little funky. We might be able to go back and fix that a little bit later. His eye is a little bit funky. Now what we could do is sample a portion of his eye, flip it in reverse, and paste it over here, but we may do that in another episode. We're not going to do that today. Again, holding the spacebar down and pulling the image down a little bit so we can continue to work on this crack. We can work on through, and now we're getting there. We're almost done, and we are really pretty close on that. So if we come back and zoom out, we can see that that crack for the most part is restored. We have a little work to do on his eye, but if we look at the before and the after, it is much improved. In fact, this is what we originally started with. So that is this part of the photo restoration using the spot healing brush tool. Wow, I marvel at the spot healing brush tool every time I use it. In the next episode, we'll start working on removing spots and using some of the contrast tools to help clean up this image a little bit more. If you found that helpful, please like this video. Tell me in the comment sections, do you use Photoshop? Are you ready to give this a try? You can do this, I know you can. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so that you'll get notified of the next video in the series. Until next time, keep on climbing your family tree.